Meteorologist Melissa Nord continuing our team coverage tonight. And Melissa, you actually spent the day with the National Weather Service surveying just that damage out there.
We did, and we actually started the day up near where Grace was on the north side of I-20, but we ended up our day where the damage path got even worse. You can hear the sound of chainsaws in the background, and if we can zoom over there across this pond here, there are blue tarps covering multiple roofs and trees that have been sheared off, torn in half there. Those are pine trees that are large. There's also a huge pine tree that's uprooted behind me, and I'm holding a 2x4. This was actually the piece of the roof of this house right here. And this is the house that made those meteorologists determine that this was actually an EF2 tornado. We were the only news crew in Atlanta to follow them around throughout their journey, pinpointing the path of this storm. Here's how they came up with that number. It's the job of the meteorologists with the National Weather Service to comb through the damage path after a big storm to determine what caused the damage and how strong it was.
Let's try and fill the gap between here and the hard hit area to the southwest.
Today, we first followed them along the north side of I-20. We found many trees uprooted that caused damage to houses, but less wind damage to houses themselves.
We're looking at the trees that are going down, which are some of the bigger ones. So there's a little bit more surface area for them to catch, and that's what's uprooting them. That's the other part of this, is we're seeing more uprooted trees in this particular section.
The survey then took us to the core of the worst damage along Briarwood Circle. We saw dozens of pine trees sheared and snapped in half, damage to shingles and some siding.
We heard glass shatter, the whole glass back door just shattered.
Craig and Larry Nay Franklin were home during the storm and were thankful a large pine tree just missed their bedroom.
I just heard all the trees on this. Mama, the big tree down behind the house. I just heard all that kind of stuff, you know, just chaotic.
Our survey to find the highest wind rating ended here, where roof damage bumped up the rating to EF2.
This house in particular, which was not damaged by trees. It was damaged purely by wind. And so we took a look at the structure of the house itself and came up with that rough wind speed. Combined with the sheer number and amount of tree snappage that we saw, we came up with the wind speed.
And that's where we are right now at this house that had that EF2 rating. The homeowner at the time had just seconds to get into the basement. She is okay, of course, shook up after part of her roof came off her house. Now, coming up at 6 o'clock, we're going to take a look at Briarwood Drive and Circle and take you into the minds of the Franklin family as they lived through that storm. We'll have that live coming up at 6 o'clock. Chris?
And Melissa, you know, it's just amazing to see all that damage as we were tracking those storms last night as they were moving through really late last night, pushing through the Atlanta area and then through Rockdale County. This is a 24-hour loop. This time yesterday we were watching the storms as they were approaching, and then last night they moved through, and that's how quickly those storms passed through the area. And then we had additional storms down to the south of us in Crisp County, down in the middle Georgia area. The National Weather Service is determining an EF1 tornado actually touched down there. Now, all of those storms have pushed out of our area. The cold front moved that away. We're feeling that colder air and the wind whipping up behind this system now. And with this upper level low to the north, we're watching a few clouds building in and even a couple of raindrops over parts of North Georgia. Not a lot of rain, nothing severe, just a few more clouds and some of those raindrops that'll be passing through during the evening hours tonight and overnight. And then get ready for more cold air to be pushing our way. We'll let you know when we're actually going to see those temperatures drop down into the upper 30s.